How many times have you seen this video? Alright, what's up guys? I'm going to teach you how to make some magic sound effects completely 100% from scratch. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is go into our Boom library folder and we're Sir, you said from scratch. And I want to make it clear that there is nothing wrong with using library sounds, especially when it's the construction kit stuff where you're doing all the heavy lifting and processing yourself. You know, like making it your own. But sometimes you do want to record something completely from scratch, and that's what this is about. So here we are outside with our shovel and our mic, and it might seem kind of silly to record outside in Philly where it's really not that quiet, but even though there's more noise to grapple with, you get more of an open sound out here than inside. Plus inside kind of comes with its own problems like room echoes and comb filtering and resonances and all kinds of shit. For equipment, I'm using a Sennheiser MKE 600 and Audio-Technica AT4053B into a Zoom F3. But for argument's sake and in the interest of minimizing barriers to entry, because not everyone has all this shit, let's also do an iPhone recording and see if we can make anything out of that. I'm getting as close as I possibly can to optimize the signal to noise ratio. Then we bring these into RX. And this level of cleanup will seem like overkill for a lot of people, and for certain applications it is, but for my purposes, I know that somewhere down the line these sounds will get super blown out. Saturated, compressed, limited, clipped, and all that stuff. So I want to know what this recording will sound like under those extreme conditions. So I'm going to set RX's output to monitor back in Reaper, and on the track I'll put some hefty processing on there. We're putting it under a microscope, basically, smashing it way into the noise floor so we can hear every little detail and imperfection, every fucking bird sound. Right, so if you were using this as a Foley element, you could go a lot lighter on the cleanup. You wouldn't be blowing the sound up so much, so you could get away with a lot more noise. But we can see all this fuzz around the main signal. I personally haven't had a ton of luck using more than one pass of spectral denoise. I might do one light pass to lift some of the signal out from the noise and make it easier for some other processing to work with, but any more than that and the artifacts get really ugly for me. If there's a real shortcut, I don't know what it is. So my favorite way to handle this that I've found so far is a combination of upward and downward expansion. I'm going to try to set the threshold where the signal that I want, the actual shovel sound, gets through and is lifted out from the noise a bit. It has the added benefit of accentuating the transients. And it's kind of hard to explain, but that exaggeration makes it more like the way it actually felt in my hand when I recorded it. The completely 100% raw recording can seem wimpy compared to how it actually felt to bang these shovels against each other in that moment. Right, so I don't want to go absolutely nuts with it because then we start veering quickly into design territory and we want the sound to be as raw and versatile as possible for use as a layer later on. Anyway, so the next step would be to reverse that and use downward expansion, where we try to pull the noise floor down and leave the shovel signal intact. And you can take several passes of it. Again, this is under the worst case scenario. We want the sound to be able to hold up and sound clean under any stupid amount of boosting and limiting that you can throw at it. So it's this kind of push-pull thing where you're trying to separate the noise from the signal, and it can help to slowly chip away at it by lifting one up and pushing the other down. One other really useful thing for cleaning these up is RX's deconstruct. It does its best to separate a signal into tonal versus noise. Don't go too crazy with it because it causes artifacts just like any other noise reduction. But for the tail specifically, that ring out, I can help out my expanders make their work a little bit easier by selecting that and pulling the noise slider down a bit, helping to separate the tonal ring out a bit from the background noise. And that's about it. This thing is squeaky clean, and many would probably say too clean. But I love the versatility of having a really dead, kind of neutral sounding recording like this because you can always go in there and remove what you don't need. You can dull the transients and roll off high end to make it sound further away. You can add convolution reverbs to help put it in a space. You can boost the daylights out of it for over-the-top designs. You can use it really gently for actual Foley. I'm kind of using Boom Library as the gold standard for cleanliness. Their libraries are immaculate, nothing but really useful signal. And for that reason, they're so easy to use and slot into a mix. You almost can't go wrong. And I've used libraries that are dirty and it's uninspiring. It's the last thing you want when you're designing and you're having to think about background noise and the fact that it sounds like it was recorded in some weird reverberant space that doesn't match what you're working on. And there's hiss and birds chirping and all this shit. You want to be able to just drop something in and not have to worry about any of that. Anyway, that's about it. Hopefully this is helpful and goodbye!